Hello and welcome back. Today we're talking about subnetting, which is the process of breaking down a larger network into smaller networks. And there are just two main rules that we need to remember for subnetting, two main principles. The first principle is that if we have a VPC, like a larger network, in our case it's going to be a VPC, and we want to create a subnet in this VPC, we cannot allow the subnet to go outside of the CIDR block of the VPC. So the CIDR block of the subnet has to be within the CIDR block of the VPC. And the second principle is that we cannot allow two subnets to overlap. So CIDR blocks of subnets have to be non-overlapping. So those are the two principles that we have to follow, and let's have a look at what you will be creating with Adlan in the practical tutorial. So here we've got the VPC, and we will be creating four separate subnets. Now the VPC, Adlan's going to select the CIDR block 10.0.0/16 for this VPC, which represents the following IP addresses. There's a total of 65,536 of them in there. And for the subnets, you're going to be using 10.0.10/24, which represents 10.0.10 to all the way to 10.0.1.255. The next subnet is going to be very similar, but it's going to be 10.0.2.0.24. The next is 3.0.24, next is 4.0.24. So each of these subnets is a /24, which means each one has 256 IP addresses. One thing I wanted to point out here is that, as you can see, the subnets, of course, have a higher prefix than the VPC itself. That's because the higher the prefix, the smaller the network. So if you're subnetting, you're breaking down into small networks, so the prefix increases, just something to keep in mind. And the other thing is that, as you can see, the subnets only have 256 times 4 IP addresses, which is nowhere near the total 65,000. And that's totally normal. You don't have to use up all of the IP addresses in your VPC. You can have plenty of spare IP addresses in case you want to create subnets in the future. So there we go. That's what subnetting is all about. And I hope you have fun in the practical tutorial. And here is a recap of what we discussed. I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, enjoy the cloud.